Hi, everyone. We're just going to give everyone a quick minute to join. Welcome to our Visit Anchorage module number 1 towards your Anchorage Wild Expert program. If you do have a headset, we recommend it. It's the best way to hear us. And if you can just make a quick comment or click the wave icon on the bottom right-hand side of your screen to show you can hear and see us all okay, and maybe let us know where you're calling in from. Tia's from Anchorage. We're going to introduce her in just a sec. But we'd love to know where you're coming in from today, what part of New Zealand or Australia. We've got Sydney and Wellington and New Zealand, Toowoomba. Awesome. Cool. It looks like everyone can hear us, which is great. We'll get started. So I know how challenging a time for our industry we continue to be in. But now there is now some light at the end of that long tunnel towards a return towards international travel, with, especially over in Australia, some strong reopening plans in place as we begin to hit vaccination targets. With these reopening plans, we are absolutely thrilled that Visit Anchorage and Tia has re-engaged with the Aussie and Kiwi market and will bring their Anchorage Wild Expert program, which is normally online, to life with our 4-webinar series. 1 webinar representing each module that you would traditionally do online. So today is module number 1. There'll be a total of 4, obviously, and we'll follow up with all those details of the next ones. In case I haven't met you personally, I see a lot of familiar faces, but I'm Corey Marshall and fortunate to be the account director for the Australia-New Zealand market for Visit Anchorage. I have a massive passion for Alaska, having been in the tourism industry since 1994 and sold Alaska and marketed Alaska since that time. Tia truly lives in an awesome place, but she's going to tell you all about that. Couple of housekeeping things. If you have any questions as we go along, please type these in the comment box on the right-hand side, and we'll either answer those as we go or at the end. We'll also be available for questions on the AWE program or Anchorage afterwards on email. Before we start today, and I officially hand you over to Tia, we want to ask you a couple of introductory questions, which also gets you used to our question system. So as part of your AWE certification, at the end of the webinar, we'll have a series of questions for you to answer as well, but these ones are really simple. So if you can go ahead and answer right on the screen for us. First question is, have you been to Alaska before? Yes or no? Question 2, and you just scroll down and then click the type box. Have you booked clients to Alaska previously, and what did they book? Cruise, cruise and land, land only, or I haven't booked Alaska clients? And I see the answers are already coming in. Question 3, did you include Anchorage on your client itineraries? I love the people that are already answering all the time. Answer B is 50% of the time, 25% of the time, or never. And 4, are you planning on completing all 4 modules of the Anchorage Wildlife Experts program with us and become certified as part of this series? And it's great to see we've got almost all answers in. 83% of you have answered, which is amazing. Let's give it one more minute just to finish up anyone who hasn't answered. Right on. A few more. All right. Well, I think most people answers are in. So without further ado, we'll get right into module 1. I am absolutely thrilled to be able to introduce a longtime friend and colleague of mine, all the way from Anchorage in Alaska, Tia Froley. And Tia, why don't you take us away?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Corey, and welcome to everyone. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon on this beautiful day in Anchorage. The sun is shining. The fall has officially started here, so our leaves are turning these beautiful yellow and reds, and there's like a Christmasness to our air. It's fresh. And we are very excited for our next season to begin. So again, my name is Tia Fraley with Visit Anchorage, and I'm excited to make you an Anchorage Wild Expert through the next 4 programs. So with that, I think Laura's going to show a quick video to kind of get you excited about what we're going to talk about today. So this is a 30-second video that you can find on our YouTube channel that you could use as well when you're talking to your clients about why to include Anchorage in your itineraries. So play it, Laura.
We wander, we roam, we take the road, we make our home. Together, we're never alone. We take
That's right. Let's go. And we're excited when the borders do open up again that you choose Alaska and you choose Anchorage. So we are open. We've actually had a really decent season this year. Definitely our domestic travel helped us. And Alaska has those wide open spaces, those national parks, state parks, and that was what everyone was looking for this summer. And they came and we're ready for our international travelers to come and experience this great state that we live in as well. So I think Laura is going to pull up our PowerPoint here and we'll get started. I do have 79 slides, as they reminded me, for about 30 minutes. So I'm going to show you a lot of imagery because that sells Alaska, because there's just so much beauty to our state that I want to get in about South Central Alaska. And today we're really going to focus on Anchorage. So part one is just the introduction to Anchorage, and then just talk a little bit about our region, which is South Central Alaska. So I think I have the power now to click through. Let me make sure I can click through here. Found it. Okay. So who am I? If I haven't met you before, I hope to meet you in the near future. I do work in the Australia, New Zealand market, but my name is Tia Fraley and I've been with Visit Anchorage for about 8.5 years now, but I've always worked in the industry since I could. My mom was actually in the travel industry as well. So my first job was with her at the airport, holding a sign up at the airport, directing people there. So she gave me my true passion for it. And I went to college and got a hospitality management degree. And I've worked anywhere from Gray Line to Holland America, Alyeska Resort, and now with Visit Anchorage, where I say I have the best job now because I just get to market this beautiful hometown that I have lived in my entire life and love to obviously play in it. So you can see here that I have a passion for our outdoors year round, whether I'm hiking, biking, exploring our glaciers, fishing, and eating the amazing cuisine that we have here. One of my special or favorites is the reindeer dogs, and then washing them down with a craft beer. So if you ever come on a trip with me or if I meet you, we'll definitely have a pint of beer together. And of course, this is me kissing Rocky the moose. In fact, I just went and saw him again out at the reindeer farm in Palmer and gave him another smooch. So him and I are becoming really good friends these days. So with that, I just want to welcome you and talk about what Visit Anchorage does for not only you, but for your clients. But what Anchorage and why it should be included in all of your itineraries, that it was kind of interesting at the beginning of this of how many do include Anchorage when you're building an itinerary. And what I find when we get travel trade here to experience Anchorage is that they're blown away by how much there is to see and do just from this beautiful city. So we are the largest city here in Alaska. So we have about 300,000 people that live here. All of Alaska only has about 700,000. So we don't even have 1 million people here. We have a ton of land. So we've been social distancing since we became a state in 1959 is what I like to say. But our tagline for our city is urban and wild, because you can kind of see by that picture, we have all the amenities that your clients are looking for in a big city. Amazing restaurants, lovely hotels, lots of entertainment and outdoor events, but we're just steps away from the wilderness. We have the Chugach Range in our backyard that includes all this outdoor wilderness and wildlife to be seen. So we are called urban and wild for that reason. So let's talk about just the appreciation we have of the land that we're on. We are on Dena'ina land here, and we appreciate our Alaska Natives and the first people of Alaska. So in South Central Alaska, we're on the Dena'ina Athabaskan land, and we really do cherish this beautiful land they let us live on. And now let's go into who Visit Anchorage is. So has anyone worked with Visit Anchorage? Has anyone reached out to us and said, hi, I have a client and I have some questions on maybe a restaurant or hotel or itinerary, or I've talked to Corey or Laura or Karen about why to include Visit Anchorage? Because if you haven't, definitely do so. And we have an amazing website, anchorage.net, super easy to remember. A ton of new resources there. And in 2020, we did give it a real new fresh look. So it's really easy to use. And we do have a travel trade portal on that side too. So lots of resources for you to go to help answer those questions. But again, we're here to help you. We're also here to help your clients when they're in Anchorage. So we run the visitor information centers. We have those at our international and domestic airport here in Anchorage, but also the iconic log cabin in downtown Anchorage. This is the hub of all day trips, shuttle services, and just our amazing volunteers that work inside this log cabin to help answer any questions on when that next shuttle is coming, or where they should go for a nice dinner or a casual dinner, or they want to go fishing, or just a map. They want to look at a map. Come to our visitor information center and talk to one of our volunteers. So again, this is right in the heart of downtown Anchorage, right on the corner of 4th and F Street. So this cabin was built in 1954. So it's very, very iconic for our town. But my department is the tourism development and sales. So we're, again, here to help you. And one of my favorite pieces that we've done is our travel trade planner. So if you don't have a copy of this, you can get it on our website, again, at that anchorage.net/travel trade under sales tools. So we've put this together to help you build an itinerary. We put only those companies that are members with us that offer commission, because we understand that you need to make a living, and commission is very important, but also has amazing maps in here, because when you're talking about Alaska, it's just easiest to have a map in front of you, and they kind of understand Alaska a little bit more when you have that map. As you know, COVID hit all of us. I know you guys are still in lockdown, and I hope that next week it'll be able to open up again a little bit more for you. We have been able to stay open here in Alaska, and we've been doing it safely, but we are watching and being very cautious of what's happening around the world and in our state. But we too had a hit here at Visit Anchorage. We had to reduce our staff by 70%. So our sales team is a lot smaller these days. And here's a sample of our team. We have been able to bring a few more members back. Maybe you've met Dawn before, my coworker, or Katie. We always say Dawn's in the pink bear suit here at the Anchorage Museum. So, but we are starting to grow back, and we can't wait to be at full staff again here, hopefully in the next couple of years. So we always joke about where Alaska is. You in travel trade, you know this, but we just know, as when we talk to consumers, they don't really have a good idea of where we're located, because most time when you look at a map, it's flat. When you're looking at a flat map, they put Alaska off the coast of California. So people don't kind of realize the logistics of where we're truly located. So as you guys know, when you look at a map and a globe, we're actually connected to Canada. So we call ourselves the higher one, or the upper one, compared to the lower 48, because we are the 49th state here. And I think it's funny when you actually talk about how large we are too, because even though we're not connected to the lower 48 and we're connected to Canada, if you supersize us on top of the lower 48, we're 1/5 the size. So we're called the Great Land for a reason, because of our size. We stretch from East Coast to the West Coast, and we go all the way up from the top of like Minnesota, and we almost touch down there in Texas. So that means you have to give your clients time to explore our beautiful state, which I did see on the survey that a lot of you do sell cruises and land packages, which is fantastic to hear. So, because if you really want to show Alaska to your clients, it's including as many regions as you can. So I also thought it would be kind of fun to see how big Alaska is compared to Australia. So Australia, don't worry, you guys are still bigger. You're 4.4 times larger than Alaska. But if you can think about that as that we're just one state, it's pretty impressive of our size. So let's go back to those regions. Again, I keep saying South Central Alaska. So what I'm talking about is that tan area of this map. But we do have 5 regions, and the 5 regions are like 5 different states here. And of course, the Southeast is that pink area. That's where, a lot of our cruises are. We have what's called the Inside Passage cruise, which is about 60% of the Alaska cruises that are offered. But then we have the northbound and southbound cruises that come into South Central Alaska. And those are the ones we really like to push, because then they can do the land package and explore South Central interior, where Denali National Park and Fairbanks is located. If you can get them across the Arctic Circle and up into the Arctic and get into our Alaska Native villages, truly amazing. At the very top of the map is Utqiagvik, which is the northernmost city you can get to in the US. And then, of course, this orange area is Southwest, where we have some more national parks, a lot of bear viewing over there, and where a lot of our fresh seafood can come to. So again, if you can really incorporate all these regions into an itinerary, you've really done your customers a great job. And that's why we love the Kiwis and the Aussies, because you guys have time to travel. So again, I'm going to focus on that tan area of South Central Alaska. And here's a little handy trip. Haha. If you take your right hand and send it like this, you always have a map of Alaska on your hand. So that is the map of Alaska on your right hand. So we always say you can learn about Alaska and be knowledgeable with a map on the back using your hand. All right, how do you get your clients to Anchorage? So of course, like we mentioned, you can do the cruise. And when you're looking at those cruises for your clients, you're going to look at those that are southbound or northbound. So either they're going to start in Vancouver and cruise their way into South Central and into our port towns of Whittier or Seward, or they could fly into Anchorage first, do a land package, and then take that cruise back towards Vancouver. So we do find that a lot of people like to come and do all the active adventures first and then go on their cruise and kind of unwind and unpack and do the fancier dinner nights as they head back home. So little tip for you. Or they can fly in and just do a land package because maybe they've done a cruise before and now they want to come and just explore the land. So they'd fly into the largest airport, which is the Ted Stevens International Airport, conveniently located in Midtown Anchorage, which is only about 9 kilometers from downtown Anchorage. So it's super easy to get your bags and get into our city and maybe do a base camp for a couple nights and use Anchorage as that base camp before they go and explore. We do have an amazing connectivity with the airlines. This summer has been pretty amazing. A lot of airlines brought some new flights to Anchorage, but when they're coming from Australia and New Zealand, we notice that California or Texas is used for that connector, and we now have direct flights from LA, San Francisco, and from Dallas and Houston. So a lot of good connections. Like you might only need to have 2 flights from Australia or New Zealand to get into Anchorage. So they might be long flights, especially that first one, but after that, it's a lot shorter to get to see us here. And it's just so scenic when you land in our airport because we have Triage Mountains that are in the background. They're automatically looking at beautiful scenes as they fly into Anchorage. And we're starting to see that snow just touched our tops of our mountains. So we call that combination dust. Then what you're hearing, you might want to say, what's the best way to get to our clients around? It's not dog sled. People think that's how we get around, but that is not the way. But we do have an amazing day trip that'll take you a dog sled. But those are just for fun, not your main transportation. So Alaska Railroad is a fast way to get your clients in and around to see our beautiful state. Their railroad track go from mile 0 at Seward all the way up into Phoenix, which is mile 500, but their base is here at Anchorage. So they have 3 different departures every single day from Anchorage. They have 2 trains at south of Anchorage, on the Wood and Seward and Girdwood, or you could head north and send your clients to the towns of Wasilla, Talkeetna, Denali, and Fairbanks. So it's not a sleeper train. A lot of people ask us that, but every day they depart from Anchorage on those 3 different itineraries. Another great way to get around is by car. So we know Aussies and Kiwis love to drive, and driving our Alaska in and around Alaska is super easy. Right here is Anchorage. You can see on this map, we literally have 2 highways that leave Anchorage, one that heads the south and one that heads north. So easy to drive and kind of do their own itinerary as a fly drive and hit some of these great little cities. Or we also know that they love to do the camper vans and RVs and van rentals. So we have a lot of options there too. So wide open spaces and then state and national parks that we have amazing campgrounds here and lots of options for them to maybe stay within their multi-generational family or within their travel bubble and be able to get out in the great outdoors in one of our campers. What else? Let's go with maybe a local tour operator. So if you want to, again, use Anchorage as a base camp, and we have these local tour operators that just do these day trips and they come back and stay in the same hotel room for a couple of nights. This is another great way to get around in small sprinter vans. So not large motor coaches. They're keeping them small, intimate, and again, keeping those groups together at a smaller level. Because I think as we come out and people start to travel more internationally, we're not looking for massive groups. I think as we begin to heal ourselves and be healthy again. So lots of options. And like I said, we have been open and operating in 2020 and 2021. So they know how to do it, and we've been doing it safely. So, and again, like I said, we only had 2 highways out of Anchorage. So float planes are very popular here to get up and see our city by land, but you can see the city, the wildlife, the glaciers, all by a float plane, or get out to some of those remote places to get away. We have incredible remote lodges in and around South Central, and the only way you can get there is by a float plane. What else you can get by a float plane is our national parks. So we have 8 national parks here in Alaska, and 5 of them you can get to from Anchorage, whether they want to do just a day trip to check off those national parks, or if they maybe want to fly into the national park overnight and then come back to Anchorage. That float plane airport is, again, right next to our Ted Stevens International Airport. It's actually ran by the same tower. So what are those 5 national parks? It is on the southwest region right here. Like I mentioned, that is for bear viewing. Amazing bear viewing at Katmai and Lake Clark National Park. I must tell you, we are getting into Fat Bear Week. If you've ever listened to me, I am infatuated by our fat bears, of how much salmon they can eat in the summer here. If you have not followed this, go onto social media in Katmai Conservatory and watch the competition. It begins on September 26th, and you can vote for your favorite bear on who has gained the most weight between June and September here on Eating Their Salmon. So again, awesome, fun activity to do here in the next, it starts in just a couple weeks. So again, Fat Bear Week at Katmai and Lake Clark. So that's where you're going to send your clients to go really be in bear country. And of course, up in the interior, we have Denali National Park to go see the tallest peak in North America, Mount Denali. And then we have Wrangell St. Alliance over here, which is not as commonly visited, but it is our largest national park, not only that we have in Alaska, but in the U.S. You can actually fit 6 Yellowstone's national parks in this one park. 13.2 million acres. It's amazing. So it's known for its old mining, copper mining, and all the outdoor adventures and glaciers and rugged mountains in this really quaint, unique national park. And of course, we have, if they were to cruise into Seward, they'll go through Kenai Fjords National Park. So that's where you're going more into the marine life when you're going to look for the whales and sea otters and sea lions and look at those glaciers. So those are the 5 that you can have access on a day trip from Anchorage. Our other 3 is, of course, we have Glacier Bay over here in the southeast, and then up top we have the Kobuk and the Gates of the Arctic. So a little trickier to get to, but we know national parks are very popular for people to come and see. Now let's briefly just talk about our mild winters and our 22 hours of daylight, because everyone thinks we're cold and dark here in Alaska, but there are regions that are, but here in Anchorage and South Central, we're not. So the least amount of light we'll get is in December. We'll get 5.5 hours. And once we hit December 21st, that is our darkest day. Once we hit that day, we will start gaining daylight. So, and then we go to summer solstice, which is June 21st, 20th, 21st. And that's when we're at 22 hours of daylight, or what I like to call playlight, because that's where you play really hard with 22 hours of daylight. You lose track of time really easy, but it's amazing here. And then just the average temperatures here too. Of course, June, July, August are going to be our warmer months. These are going to be the average. These can change by 10 to 20 degrees. So we can get up to 27, maybe 32 degrees Celsius in the summertime. So I always say pack in layers. And then if you have clients that are interested in coming in the wintertime, again, we don't get really cold. So again, dress in layers, and all of our activities that happen in the wintertime too, they provide all the outer gear. All you have to do is bring your base layers. They will give you the big heavy coats and the boots and all that kind of stuff that you need. So again, really mild temperatures, but extreme fun here. So again, when you're here June and July, you're looking for that midnight sun. This picture was taken at 10 p.m. at night, so you really have to adjust to having all that daylight. But all the adventures that await that you can do at any hour of the night. You can even golf as late as 10 p.m. with a tea time. And our flowers bloom just huge during the summer under that midnight sun. And our downtown plants over 80,000 plants in and around the downtown area just to really make our city beautiful. And then we change out that sunlight for the darker skies. But with those darker skies, it gives us a whole new different light that we get, which are the northern lights. So we're happy that we're losing light. Like in September, right now, we're losing about 5 minutes a day. But guess what? We're in northern light season. So we are changing into staying up late and watching the beautiful skies dance above us in the greens and the yellows and the pinks and the purples. And also all our trails are still open in the wintertime as well. So our road bikes turn into more fat tire bikes, and we put studded tires on them, and our trails are still open, whether you want to bike on them, hike on them still, put snowshoes on them, maybe go on cross-country skis. It's very authentic in Alaska here because we just kind of slow down in the wintertime. And like I said, and chase those beautiful northern lights. So that is me last February. Love the northern lights, and I have the Aurora tracker on my phone to make sure I know when they're going to be really bright in our skies. So let's talk about why Anchorage. Why should you include Anchorage on your itineraries for your clients? Not only are we the largest city, so there's all those amenities that a large city has, but there's just all these amazing day trips year round here. So I know there's a lot going on this this map. This map is in that travel trade planner. That's why I said it's really important to get that travel trade planner because it'll just kind of lay out so many great options for your clients and an easy way to do it. But let's just talk about some of the day trips you can do. I always say start with a trolley tour. It's a 1-hour trolley tour that gives them a really fun history of Anchorage and how young of a city we are. They go over to that float plane airport I was talking about. You're looking for a moose. You're just kind of entertained for 50 minutes, but get a really good idea of where downtown and midtown and our history on our Anchorage trolley that happens May through September. And then also we have a really cool art vibe and culture to our city too. So a lot of murals are painted on the sides of our building, and we keep adding more and more each month. But our greeting card is very popular. In fact, my group I just had in town that left last night, we took a fun photo in front of this. You just have to go and snap that picture. So for your social media, but we have on our website, we actually have a art walk map for your clients. So if your clients are really into looking at the different murals, go to our website and get that map for them. Also, Anchorage is known as the cultural soul of Alaska. A lot of our Alaska Natives actually live here in Anchorage, and they bring their talents here. So you can immerse with them. You can buy some of the wares that they've made when they've been in the villages. You can watch their dance performances. They bring their musical talent to us. And we have 2 cultural centers here in Anchorage where you can really immerse yourself with learning about the first people of Alaska. And the first one is the Anchorage Museum, which is right in downtown Anchorage on 6th and C Street. Beautiful center to kind of learn behind the glass and kind of learn just the history of Alaska from art, science, and technology. So lots of rotating different exhibits that happen there too. In the summertime, they'll do different events on the lawn. But then we also have the Alaska Native Heritage Center, which is just a little on the outskirts of downtown Anchorage. We do have a shuttle, again, from that log cabin information center that takes you out to our Alaska Native Heritage Center. And this is where you can interact with the people and you can buy from our Alaska Natives. Don and I were just there this weekend again with our fam. And I think every time we buy something, and of course we both got some new earrings because it's truly handmade from materials that you can only find here in Alaska. So amazing 2 places to go and meet our Alaska Natives. But then also, like we mentioned, shopping. We have no sales tax here in Anchorage. So when it says $4, it's $4. There's no extra tax added. So remember that when you're shopping or you're in Anchorage. Not every city in Alaska can say that, but Anchorage can. Also, May through September, we have amazing outdoor markets and festivals. So almost every day of the week, there's something outdoors going on, whether it's a food truck festival or a market or a social or music in the park. Be sure to check out our event page on our website for your clients. And of course, just the wide variety of outdoor activities that your clients can experience right here from Anchorage. Like I mentioned, we have lots of hiking trails. We have over 200 miles of trail systems in and around the Anchorage area. So whether they want to just do an evening stroll or an afternoon stroll after lunch, we have paved trails such as this one over here. And then be also looking for the signs, because you can actually learn a little history about Alaska, and the Dena'ina names of these trails is underneath it. This fun map up top is called the Moose Loop. So if your clients actually took this whole trail, it looks like a moose head. So that's why we call it the Moose Loop. And this is just me out, whether you're hiking or biking or, like I said, snowshoeing or cross country skiing. Our trail systems are truly part of the experience of being here in Alaska in Anchorage. And of course, when you're on your trails, you're looking for wildlife. We share the land with about 1,500 moose in and around our Anchorage area. So not only are they on the trails, they're in our yards, they're on our streets. So you're constantly looking for these beautiful animals. But I know when your clients come to Alaska, they want to talk about fishing. Fishing is very popular here because of the wild Alaska salmon. We have a beautiful creek here in downtown Anchorage called Ship Creek. That's ship with a P, Ship Creek, where they can come and cast a line and catch a beautiful salmon. And we have Dustin in the bait shack right next to there. That'll help them ship it home if they don't want to go and cook it up that night for some fresh seafood. So this lady caught a beautiful silver salmon. So you can catch silver or kings or pink salmons in Ship Creek in downtown Anchorage, which is pretty cool. Not too many cities can boast that. But of course, if you don't want to go catch your own salmon, but you want that fresh salmon, the dining scene that we have here in Anchorage is amazing because it's always fresh, never frozen. From not only from our fish, but our crab, we have scallops and prawns and shrimp. And maybe that's not for everyone. So we also have locally sourced meat and salads and greens. So we're really doing as fresh to table as we can in our restaurants here. We also have amazing decks. So to enjoy that midnight sun, we have a couple great restaurants in downtown Anchorage that have these beautiful outdoor dining options. That was at 49th State, which is a brewery that we have here. Of course, 49th State for the state that we are. And look at that view. Who doesn't want to talk about all their great adventures for the day and sip on a pint of beer and have that view? Pick me. I'm on that deck a lot, so you'll probably find me there. But then we have just a variety of different restaurants to choose from. People are so surprised at the different cuisines and offerings that we have here in Anchorage. We're a very diverse city, so bringing that amazing culinary scene to our city. And again, like I said, fresh to table offerings, especially our vegetables that are coming out from our valley. The Matsu Valley provides all those great vegetables for us. And even if you're just walking in downtown Anchorage, we have some really fun carts. Like I mentioned, I like those reindeer hot dogs. This is what it looks like right now in downtown Anchorage. There's umbrellas with all these carts that are offering these reindeer hot dogs because that's how much we love them. And it's easy to grab and go and have one of these before you go out on your next adventure. And that's what it is. When you see it sizzling and you smell it, you're going to want to try it. We eat them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we have some breweries, cideries, and distilleries here in Anchorage. So this is one of our popular cideries called Double Shovel. We have about 13 different breweries, but then we have 2 distilleries. So if you want to try maybe a unique Alaska gin and tonic or a Bloody Mary, have the bartender mix one up with one of our Anchorage distilleries. We also drink more coffee per capita than any other state in the U.S. So we like to stay warm and caffeinated here. We don't grow our beans here, but we do have roasters. So if you're into the coffee scene, Alaska is amazing here. And don't forget, we have sweet treats too, such as our Kobuk donuts that have like a fiery glaze on it, or we have Wild Scoops that make amazing Alaska ice cream that has like fresh wild blueberries in it, or some birch syrup in them from our birch trees. And then again, the outdoor music scene, and that we have almost live music almost every night here in Anchorage during the summer months. And not only in the summer, but we do have that in the wintertime as well. if your clients are coming and you want to look at some of these different events or look up some of the great restaurants that we have here, also on our website, we have the official Anchorage restaurant and entertainment guide that you can download and show them, or they can pick them up in our visitor information center. It's a really great piece. So let me talk real quick about the glaciers. We also know that glaciers are one of the top things that people want to visit when they're here or experience here when they come to Alaska. And we have 60 glaciers within an hour's drive of Anchorage. We have over 100,000 glaciers in Alaska, but just 60 of them they can visit right from Anchorage. So pretty amazing. So whether they want to fly over one, this is Connect Glacier. You can do that float plane trip over one, or you want to do a day boat cruise to one. Those are out of Whittier or Seward, where you get up to close to these glaciers and you hear the snap, crackling, and pop of them calving. And it's not the cereal you're eating; it is definitely the glacier that's making noise, and it's just, you won't forget it. It's truly amazing how massive they are. If you want to get off the grid, you can go kayaking or rafting at Spencer Glacier. The only way to get there is by the Alaska Railroad. Or maybe your clients want to go, hike on one or just walk on one and just put on some little spikes, which we call crampons, and do a 2-hour walk, or they can do a 6-hour trek on one and really get into this ancient ice of what kind of carved out the whole Alaska, the Matsu Valley here. So I am infatuated by our glaciers here. And like I said, I just got off of FAM and I walked on a glacier. I landed on a glacier by a helicopter, and I took a day boat cruise up to one. So there's just so many different ways, and it's interesting. And this is in a 5-day package, those 3 different ways to see a glacier, and they're all amazing for their own reasons. So now that I've convinced you that your clients need to stay in Anchorage for a couple days on their itineraries, where should they stay? Well, we've got some amazing options here. You might think they need to stay in an igloo, or that's all we live in here, but we don't. But we have great options for them to dine in, such as these igloos at the Inlet Towers that they can have a wonderful meal in, but they won't sleep in it. But we do have accommodations that we talk about midtown or downtown. So midtown is, again, where our airport is, and then 9 kilometers to downtown. And some people like the downtown location for if they don't have a car and they don't have to worry about parking. Downtown's a great location. If they do have a car rental or an RV and they have a night or two in Anchorage, midtown might be a better choice because they do have that free parking and the hotels that offer the free breakfast. So when looking at downtowns, we have anywhere from inns to B&Bs to all the corporate hotels such as the Hiltons, the Marriotts, the Sheratons, or and this is the Hotel Captain Cook, which is a locally owned and operated hotel that we have right in downtown Anchorage, which is probably our nicer downtown hotel. But our Anchorage Downtown Hilton just did a remodel as well, which is quite lovely, and right across the street from me here. I'm looking at that tower right now. But then, like I mentioned, the Midtown, you're getting into the Hyatt places, the Hilton Garden Suites, the Home 2 Suites, those chains that offer that free parking and breakfast. And again, they have that shuttle to downtown Anchorage or to the Alaska Railroad Depot. So lots of options, even though they're not in downtown, midtown, and it does save them a little money, a little cheaper to stay at a midtown property versus a downtown property. But we also have those that feel like a lodge, but you're still in Anchorage. So this is the Lakefront Hotel, which is right on Lake Hood, that busiest seaplane airport in the world. So they can actually watch these takeoffs, have that lodge feeling, but they're only 5 minutes away from our airport. They're right there in Midtown, right next to our airport. So conveniently located, but you feel like you're in like that lodge setting of Alaska. And if they want to go a little bit further south of Anchorage, which is in the town of Girdwood, which is still part of the municipality of Anchorage, we have the lovely Alyeska Resort. And this Alyeska Resort is open year-round, and they are building a Nordic spa. So if you've ever experienced a Nordic spa, they are opening one this November. We're super excited. That's in this borealis setting, outdoors with the hot, warm, and cold, and then they have the sauna and the fire pits. Oh, just sounds lovely. I can't wait to go. So again, this is Alyeska Resort, which is a lovely resort just 35 miles south of Anchorage, about 45 minutes. So with that, I think I got through all of my slides, Corey. Woo!
You
But I
did,
wanted
Tio. You did.
yeah.
Well done. Well done. One quick question before we get to the next part of the certification today. Do you have any boutique luxury accommodation in Anchorage?
Luxury is kind of an interesting word that we use here in Alaska because we don't have that. We have a few top luxury, but not many. We always say your luxury is out in your experience and getting out of your hotel here in Alaska because that's what you want to do. But we do have a few that I could send and highlight. But we don't have any 5 stars, just so you
Okay.
know. So most of them are about 4. We have a couple 4 stars, and I'd be more than happy to
Yeah.
send those off to you. So if you want to
Cool.
send them to Corey or Laura, and we can work on that for you, no problem.
Awesome. We'll get into there's another question, but we'll get to the certification part of today's program next. And so, everyone, it's obviously thanks to Tia for delivering a great module 1 for us. What we're going to do next is launch our questions, which we ask you to answer. We will record your answers, of course, and we'll go through them one at a time. And so, again, just like at the beginning of the webinar today, if you can go ahead and answer those questions right on your screen for us, that would be amazing. So question number 1 will be, I'll do this one. Anchorage is known as the urban and wild city of Alaska because amazing culinary scene and comforts of a big city, multi-use trails throughout the city, wildlife that explores our trails and streets, or all of the above. And I see many are answering already. And Tia, you want to read number 2?
Awesome. Yeah. Urban and wild. I love it. All right. Land packages in South Central Alaska can include what type of transportation? The Alaska Railroad, RV, camper van, and car rental, local tour operators for day trips, or once again, all of the above.
I know I was paying attention to the presentation. Lots of these are in there, if not all of them. Right on. Question number 3. Where is the Visit Anchorage Downtown Visitor Center located? Corner of 4th Avenue and F Street, at the Anchorage Museum, 5th Avenue Mall, or the Coastal Trail?
Ooh, made that one a little trickier, didn't we? All right, here we go. What I kept saying over and over and over in my presentation. What region of Alaska is Anchorage located in? Is it interior, the southeast, south central, or the Arctic?
Right on. And I see lots more answers coming in. It's great. Question number 5. There are 60 glaciers within an hour's travel of Anchorage. True or false? True or false?
Just remember all those different ways you can explore them for your clients. It's amazing. Okay, number 6. The local creek in downtown Anchorage your clients can fish for salmon is named Sheep, Sheldon, Ship, or Sheet?
Like it. So what kind of resources are available for agents for their certification? Sales materials, FAM support, destination training, and itinerary assistance. And I believe this is a multi-choice question, so more than one answer can be applicable.
Yes. All right. Talking about those national parks, Alaska has 8 national parks. Your clients can visit how many of these from a day trip from Anchorage? Is it 4, 5, 7, or 3?
Amazing. A little bit further down, question number 9. The Alaska Railroad connects South Central and Interior Alaska. Which location isn't an Alaska Railroad stop? Anchorage, Fairbanks, Nome, or Seward?
Ooh, Nome is where the Iditarod ends. I'll give a little hint. But you have to go by dog sled to get there.
I'm sure that's a part of your next module too, which is Alaska in all seasons. We're not quite there yet, but hey, this is module 1.
That's right.
We're just going to leave the questions up on the screen for a little bit. I know some of them are still answering. I can see answers still coming in. But while we do that, Tia, there is another question from Maria that you might want to answer just while we're waiting for the final questions. Is there a big push in Anchorage for sustainable tourism?
Yes, through our state. So we have the Alaska Travel Industry Association, who is our state marketing, is overseeing that program. So it's called Green Alaska, and all of our members can. There's a whole program to log into that they have to get tested for, and we all support that. And then, so we're all following under that program for each of our different regions. So yes, we are. That is very important to the state of Alaska, as you know, as we're a big outdoor enthusiasts here to protect our wildlife, to protect our land, and protect our glaciers. So yes.
Amazing. And not surprising, given how big wildlife is up there, and but awesome to hear that about that program. Okay, so everyone else on the call, once you've answered all the questions, we'll be talking about the other modules in just a second, so that's great. That concludes module 1 for the AW Experts program. Tomorrow, we'll be sending out a follow-up email on the topics covered today, a link to the recording in case you missed any of it, and or you wanted to pass it on to a colleague, or I know some people are having some sound issues. In addition to the recording, there'll be the questions that you see here will be sent out as well. So in case you weren't able to answer them on the screen, you can answer them tomorrow and send those back to Lara or myself, and that will still qualify you for your first module. We remind you that module 2 will be held on the 21st of October and welcome you all to participate. It'll follow similar outline, and the times are exactly the same. So same time, a different time if there's a time change for Tia, but same time for us. So what's happening then is, if you can't join, the same thing will happen. We'll send out we still encourage you to register with us, and we'll make sure we get you the recording and the questions. As a reminder, one lucky newly certified Anchorage Wild Expert, specialist as a result of this program will be on their way to see Tia in 2022. You heard her talking about hosting FAMs already. They're open. We will be open, and you'll get that FAM program, including $500 US towards your airfare. Tia, thank you so much for Module 1. You did an awesome job. Seeing lots of great thanks coming in from our agents and tour operators. And we'll be back for Module 2. But in the meantime, we wanted to leave you with one final video to inspire you a little bit more about Anchorage in Alaska.
This is a video of from the 80s. So just a little throwback for you guys.
A throwback video. Love a throwback.
Gotta move your shoulders.
Wild, wild about Anchorage, nothing can change my mind. Wild, wild about Anchorage, it's a marvelous find. There's no place anywhere else that you could want to be. We're all together here singing in harmony. Oh, wild, wild. Wild, wild about Anchorage, wild about Anchorage.
Yes, stay wild about Anchorage. Bye.